Okay, you can start lying on your back in Shavasana. Letting your body drop down, surrendering to gravity. Notice physical body, this sacred vessel for life's journey. Notice your overall mood, your sense of energy. Maybe there's a kind of fidgetiness, an eagerness to move, so we can work to cultivate patience and just to be here with what's here. I think in our society, there's this certainly strong adherence to or addiction to instant gratification and staying busy, staying distracted. So sometimes, or maybe to create balance and kind of counter that pull, we can just get a little bit more comfortable with being bored or not doing anything at all. So we just notice what's arising. Maybe we're kind of frustrated or pushing up against it. Maybe we're welcoming this pause, this non-doing, but a lot of us want to be moving, want to be busy. There's some kind of value associated with that. So see if you can let that drop away and just be with what's here without needing to add anything or change anything. And I invite you, as we begin our movement inquiries, to practice slowly, to move slowly. We don't want to go slowly that we're kind of putting ourselves to sleep, but slow enough so we can really be present for and aware of all the sensations that are arising. So it's more about feeling what's happening within the movement, within our bodies, than getting it done, getting on to the next thing. So with that in mind, we'll start with our Baddha Konasana slide. The end shape is kind of like a supine tree pose here. So sliding the outer edge of one foot along the ground, bringing the foot up toward the other leg, inner thigh. You might pause there for a moment and then slide the leg out straight. Alternating legs. Imagine there's a weight on your inner thigh, so we're not lifting the leg and then opening the knee out to the side. I see that a lot when I offer this option, this inquiry. So see if you can be really heavy here. Sliding the leg up, sliding the leg down, or the foot. And noticing what sensations are arising as you do. Two sides might be really different. And that's interesting to note. Our focus today is on the hips. So you could bring more of your awareness and attention to sensation in and around the hips and anything that seems intimately connected. So inner legs, outer legs. even the relationship between the hips and the ribs. Let your breath be free. Go about one more time each side here. Stay in your own rhythm. You never need to catch up with me or work exactly at my pace. After your second side, whenever that is for you, or if you don't remember, just when you finish this one, just pause for a moment. Feel the weight of the legs, the weight of the pelvis, the river of breath. Next, we'll plant one foot and take that same side arm out to a T, keeping the arm heavy, rocking to the inner edge of the foot that you planted to bring the knee across the midline, and then bringing the leg back to center. So just like our first movement here, we're not leaving the ground at all. So we just rock to the inner edge of the foot, and that part of the foot stays on the ground. And then coming back so the leg is vertical. You can be really loose and relaxed with this, or you can bring a little bit more engagement in by really pushing, digging inner edge of the foot into the ground and reaching the knee away from you. This will cause the hip to lift up more. And you can further encourage that kind of activity engagement by engaging, squeezing the glute muscle of that moving leg. Let's add rotation of the head. So whatever direction the knee is going, we turn the head opposite to look toward that outstretched arm. Head rolling back to center as the leg comes back to vertical. You could be coordinating movement with breath here, moving on the inhale or moving on the exhale. Maybe the whole bottom, the whole sole of the foot stays on the ground and you push that into the floor. So lots of opportunity in all of these. That's why we call them inquiries, to explore and modify and vary, keep things fresh, keep things interesting, and not allow the body to get stuck in kind of one-way mentality. About one more time here, knee coming across, might feel the front of the hip opening up here. And then eventually you can set up for the other side, planting the foot, same side arm goes out to a T, rocking toward the inner edge of the foot, knee coming across the midline, and then back to center. Maybe pushing the entire sole of the foot into the ground, or just the inner edge and actively lifting the outer edge away from the floor. So it's going to give you a little bit more ankle work. Maybe today you feel like being easier, more passive, gentler, or you could bring more engagement, more effort into the shape, reaching through the knee, squeezing the buttock muscle, And let's rotate head opposite. I'm noticing the sensations arising throughout the hip girdle in particular. The last one here on this side. And then when you finish that up, you can slide the legs straight and take both arms out to a T. Oh, too close to the wall here. So arms are out to a T, and if it works for your shoulders, please have your palms facing up. That causes pinchiness or a lot of tension. You can have the palms facing down. So this is a little protraction where we're gonna just slide one arm away from the midline. So it's like the shoulder blade is moving away from the spine. And then just relax that arm. It's not a big movement here. I'm just reaching the arm out to the T in the direction that the fingers are pointing. So we're not bringing the arms back down by the sides or anything like that. Just sliding the arm a little away from the midline. Noticing what's happening through the shoulders, through the arm. Let the head go where it wants to go. And now let's change a little bit. So one shoulder blade is protracting while the other is retracting. So in essence, both shoulder blades are going in the same direction. So as I reach, slide the right arm out to the right, I kind of plug the head of the left arm bone deeper into the shoulder socket. Some of these movements your body maybe has never done before. So just giving your brain and your body some time to figure it out, being patient, being more curious. And then just allowing the arms to stay out at a T, but relaxed. We'll keep the feet heavy on the floor here. So our end where we're headed is into what looks like a very traditional spinal twist. But rather than picking up the knees or picking up the feet or the legs to come into that shape, we'll slide the feet along the floor and bring the knees directly toward one elbow. And then slide the legs out straight again. Alternating sides, sliding the knees up toward the elbow. And then sliding the legs out straight. It's toward the elbow. The knees don't have to get to the elbow. Just going in that general direction. See how far you can comfortably get while staying heavy, working with gravity the whole time. Your blanket's getting all bunched up, it's a good idea to have your setup so the bottom edge is tucked in, the bottom edge of the blanket tucked in underneath your mat when you first set up. I didn't do that, getting bunchy here. And then we're gonna add one more element here. So after you slide the knees up toward the elbow, kind of swing the top knee more up toward the elbow. So this leg is in space, it's up in air, but not any more than it needs to be. So again, the knee's not getting necessarily to the elbow, mine's not. It's just getting a bit closer than the bottom leg. Cultivating a moderate amount of sensation. Sometimes our habit can be to push and force into discomfort because we want to be in a different position than our body actually is ready for or can no longer find. About one more round. And then once the legs are straight, bring your arms down alongside your body. Just drop straight down here. Don't do anything, just be. Be the witness to what's arising. And being the witness doesn't mean we're separate from our experience, just that we're kind of getting a little bit of a different perspective, a more objective perspective. Okay, from here we'll plant both feet about hips width apart. And interlace your hands underneath your head. This is at the base of the skull for our spinal undulation. With your inhalation, root the arm bones down and arch into a little back bend. So there's a little gap between the lower spine and the floor, but the pelvis is down. And then as you exhale, curl up. It's like an old-fashioned sit-up. We squeeze the elbows together and toward the knees. Follow your breath here. This is a breath-driven movement, inhaling, expanding the front body all the way across to the elbows, and then exhale, the back body expands as we curl in. Peeling the shoulder blades up away from the ground on the exhale. Expanding through the belly with the inhale. And then when and if it fits into your flow, we'll add a diagonal reach here with the exhalation, coming across the midline, elbows directed toward the hip, one hip. Alternating each time you curl up. I often see folks kind of skipping or shortening the inhale movement. Try to give them equal attention, maybe not equal size and intensity, but equal awareness. We might add one more element here. So we keep working with this diagonal reach on the exhale. Bring the knee in toward the elbows as the elbows curl up toward the knee. About one more time each side. And then next time the head comes down, the foot comes down, slide the legs straight. Bring your arms alongside your body into the full release of Shavasana. From here, roll onto your side, either side. You might have your belt handy. So the bottom arm is a pillow. Let's start, if possible, with straight arms, straight legs. You can use the back edge of your mat if that works for your setup, your space, wherever you are, to make sure that you're fully straight. So a lot of times people have their head forward. We already do enough forward head posture all day long. So you can use the back edge of your mat to align with your sacrum and with the back of your skull. Okay, and then take hold of your top wrist with your bottom hand and tug for traction and stretch through your legs. That's it. Push especially through your top heel. Just a full body stretch here. You happen to be on your side. Let your head be heavy. Make sure you're not holding tension in your jaw. And then from here, you can release the wrist and just bring that top hand out in front of you for a little support. Keep the top leg toes pointing forward, so we're not rotating at all here. We'll lift the leg up. And then lower it back down. Just try that a few more times. Lifting the leg, head is heavy, head is down. Lowering it down. You can create some of your own resistance here. Like you're moving through honey rather than just like a woo, loosey-goosey swingy. So reaching through the heel, foot can be flexed. A couple more times. Probably feeling sensation through the outer hip, maybe even into the glute. Good. And then the next time the leg lowers down, if you're working with a belt, you can take your belt around that top foot. And stretch the leg up. Now we are externally rotating the leg. So rather than the toes pointing out in front of you, dialing the toes to point up toward the ceiling, maybe even back behind you. It's not coming really from the foot or the ankle though. It's coming from the inner thigh, rotating outward. Stretching through both legs, downside leg is rooting, pushing through that heel. Flexing aerial foot, pushing through that heel. You want to make sure the shoulder is relatively relaxed, or it's that same idea of the head of the arm bone plugged into the shoulder socket. So if we're reaching and rounding here, using a belt or scarf, towel, whatever you've got would be a good idea. Try to move your sacrum more out in front of you toward the front body. Knee could be bent here, doesn't have to be fully straightened. Okay, We can keep the belt on the foot if you're using it. Tuck your bottom knee in toward your chest and then bring the top leg out in front of you. So thighs are stacked here. If you have SI imbalance, sacroiliac issues, you can put a block underneath this foot so the sacrum is more level. Now we're going to bring this bottom arm out in front so the hands are pretty much stacked, sort of. Yeah, both arms are stretched out in front of you. To twist. If your head is airborne or your neck is uncomfortable here, you can put your blanket underneath your head. I'm going to. So there's no tension or strain in the neck. Okay, and then so the top leg is out in front of you rather than up toward the ceiling. There it is. Good. I'm going to stretch the top arm up toward the ceiling. So we're twisting again here and then opening. Shoulder might not be anywhere near the floor, but it's approaching it to some degree. And then reach the arm up. Bring your arm back out in front of you. Let's go slow here, go a few more times. Energy through the arm as it reaches up, reaching back behind you. Finding your rhythm here, drawing this big active semicircle to open and close. I'm also active through this extended leg, pushing through the heel, flexing the foot. Let your head go with the movement. Good. One more time. If you're flowing, it's fine. If you're staying in the twist instead. And then coming out of the twist, so you're back on your side, facing your foot. And now we're going to straighten the bottom leg underneath the top leg. So if you're using the block, you don't need it now. The legs are stacked, the feet are stacked. If you're using a belt, you can take it around both feet. And we'll fold in to more of a forward bend. So more hip flexion, trunk closer to the legs. If you're not using a belt, you can take your hands right over the tops of both feet. Head is still supported. Legs are active. You can squeeze your thigh muscles, push through your heels. Knees could be bent here. Any forward bend might be better to bend the knees. Now maintaining connection with belt around bottom foot and bottom arm, bottom hand, or bottom hand to bottom foot. So top arm and top leg reach up toward the ceiling. And then simply rewind so the legs are stacked and the arms are pretty much stacked. Try that a few more times. That's it. Like moving through honey, creating some of your own resistance. Energy through the feet, energy through the fingers. Not so much that you're tight, but just wakeful. This next time the arm and the leg come up to the vertical. Bend that aerial leg and plant the foot on the ground in line with the sitting bone and open the arm out to a T. Okay, turning your belly away from your outstretched leg. Let's press the planted foot into the ground and drive the knee forward. If it's dropping in, I mean, that might be interesting and feel good, so it's not wrong. But you could try angling the knee out away from the midline. A few more breaths here, tracking sensation, stay with what's arising. From here, gently rolling onto the side you've been on, bending the bottom leg, and then just rolling over onto your other side. We'll start with straight arms, straight legs, bottom arm is a pillow. If you need more support, you put the blanket between your head and your arm, not under your arm. That'll be uncomfortable for the shoulder. And remember, you can use the back edge of your mat to be sure that you're actually in a straight line. I mean, the body's not straight, but in a neutral position. So back of the sacrum and back of the skull, both at the back edge of the mat. We're taking hold of the top wrist with the bottom hand, tugging, reaching through the legs, especially push through top heel. Head is heavy. Breathe into the places where you feel the most resistance. Release the wrist. Let this top hand just rest in front of you for a little extra support. So now we move the top leg. We keep the toes pointing forward, so there's no rotation in the leg. Lifting it up and lowering it down. That's it. Might even take a look down. Be sure what you're feeling is what's actually happening, that the toes stay pointing forward out in front of you rather than up toward the ceiling. Energy through the leg as it's moving. You can push through the heel. Moving with intention. A couple more times. Okay, and then if you're working with a belt, take the belt around that top foot. Anantasana, this is called. Stretching the leg up. Now we're externally rotating the leg. So inner thigh is rotating out, and that's causing the toes to point more overhead than out in front of you. And for some of us, it's kind of even a little bit back behind you. If you feel really wobbly, bring more grounding and energy through the downside leg. Squeeze your buttock muscles. Really move the sacrum in toward the front body. The shoulder is plugged in a sense, rather than elevated up toward the ear or rolling forward. The shoulder blade is down the back. From here, tuck your bottom knee in toward your chest. And let's keep the connection of the foot, or maybe, yeah, the foot and the hand, maybe with the belt. We're gonna bring the top leg out in front of you, so the foot can be on the block. It's a little bit more balancing for the sacrum. If you have SI instability, you definitely use it. Okay, and then we bring the bottom arm out in front. And maybe put some support underneath your head. If you've got a blanket, that would be better than a block. The block's only one setting. The blanket you can adjust so that the neck is long. Okay, you're stretching top arm up, reach up toward the ceiling, and then bring the arm back behind you into this spinal twist. Head is rolling with the movement. Energy through the arm, so reaching actively. If you're getting shoulder pinchiness, the arm down lower rather than in line with the shoulder, especially as it comes back behind you, is possibly going to be helpful. Okay, and then let's meet with the arm out in front. And straighten your bottom leg underneath your top leg. So legs are out in front of you. You have that block, you can kick it out of the way. And you can take your belt around both feet or hands over the tops of both feet. Folding inward, folding trunk closer to the legs. Head might rest on the bottom arm here. That might be excessive for your neck, so see how it feels for you. Push through your heels, spread the bottoms of your feet. Squeeze your thigh muscles. Adjust your belt so it's around just the bottom foot, or we're holding bottom foot with bottom hand. Inhale, arm and leg coming up to vertical. Exhale, arm and leg coming out in front of you again. That's it. Exactly. So like hinging open away from the downside arm and leg. Just one more time here. Reaching up. And then plant that airborne foot. So heel is in line with the sitting bone, roughly. And keep opening that arm out to a T. We're going to lift and turn belly a little bit more away from this outstretched leg. And then just notice what's happening with this planted foot leg. For me, I really feel, I like the feeling, the sensation of pushing the foot into the floor and driving the knee forward. So for a lot of us, that's going to open up tight hip flexors from sitting a lot. Breathe into your back, breathe into the sides of the rib basket. Okay, from here, you can bend the outstretched leg, roll onto the side you've been working on, and then keep rolling until you're on your belly. So belly down, Shavasana or prone Shavasana, stacking hands, resting forehead on hands. You might have to fiddle with that a little bit to accommodate your nose. I know I do. Tuck your toes under. Take hold of your elbows at least a little bit forward of the shoulders. Press the forearms down. So we're lifting up into a sphinx-like shape. Push back through your heels. Root down through the front of the pelvis. Engage your glutes. Draw the shoulder blades down away from the ears. From here, you can untuck your toes, slide your elbows apart to stack your hands and rest your head. If you have a block you're working with, let's take hold of the block between the hands on the widest setting. So arms are stretched out in front of you, forehead is down. I'm applying a little bit of pressure of hands into the block, and then bend your elbows so the forearms are vertical. Elbows shoulder width apart. Try not to let them splay out wider. That's not usually good for the shoulders. And then see if you can slide your elbows a little bit more forward. Holding this, keep applying that pressure inward of the hands to the block. Tuck your toes under. Drive through your heels. Let's release the block down to the ground. We'll hold on to it, but bring it down. And then walk your elbows back until they're underneath your shoulders. We don't want them behind the shoulders. They could be a little bit more in front of the shoulders. if the direct stacking is too much for you. So now we're actually in Sphinx pose. You could press tops of the feet down instead of tucking. But just be active with the feet and the legs. Root down through the elbows. Pressure inward to the block with the hands. My back always feels better here when I squeeze my buttock muscles. Slide the arms forward. You can set your block aside. And bring your forehead down to the ground. So arms are straight forward, palms down. Go wider if you're getting shoulder pinchiness or pain. Tuck your toes under. Walk your toes toward your knees and then push through your heels. Engage your glutes. Keep the hands down. You might have to slide them back just a little bit to kind of get some connection here. Push the hands down, lifting up through the chest. Head is up, back of the neck is long. Try to kind of bring the shoulder blades or the armpits down toward the ground. From here, slide your hands back so they're under your shoulders and press back to child's pose. Okay, from here, this could be the end of your practice, or we're moving on to standing work. So with that said, you can take your blanket off of your mat, or if you've been working on a carpet, now grab your mat so you've got some stickiness, some traction. Coming up to stand. Okay, standing in Tadasana. I like feet hip width apart these days. I used to always be feet together. Find my hips don't really love that quite as much anymore. Spread your toes. See if you can keep space between each toe. Rooting through the four corners of the feet. Great. From here, reach your arms up, reach your arms out in front of you and reach the arms forward. So we get this protraction. And then keep reaching as you bring your arms up overhead. Try not to let the ribs flare forward. So the shoulders are moving independent of the ribs. Reach, 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 arms up alongside the ears. You can go wider if that's better for your shoulders. And working on straightening the elbows, but not forcing the elbows to be straight. And then from here, bend your knees, Utkatasana, chair pose. So the back of my head is staying in line with the back of my, with the sacrum. Push feet into the floor, rise all the way up. Sense your ribs here, make sure they're not popping forward. Exhale, back down, Utkatasana. So the torso is coming forward here. I'm not trying to stay upright. That can be compressive to the lower spine. Inhaling, rise up. Palms face each other. Exhale, Utkatasana to hip hinge. Good. Couple more times. Rooting, intentionally rising. Exhale, back down. One more time. Exhale, Utkatasana. And then rising up. And this time letting the arms float down through this ocean of energy, pausing here in Tadasana, mountain pose. Notice what you notice. Okay, we take a wide stance here for Prasarita Padottanasana. So feet are wide, feet are pretty much parallel or even a little bit pigeon-toed. That's it. So we're going to keep the hips stacked with the ankles. Knees could bend, but hips stay stacked with ankles. Fold forward and then elongate spine and arms forward. Notice I'm not coming, well, we might in a moment, but as a default, try not to shift forward into your hands. So really stay secure in your heels. You can add a little bit of protraction here, trying to draw the outer border of the shoulder blade down toward the ground. I like to be on tippy fingers here so that you could be on hands, kind of pressing the floor away. I find that tippy fingers gives me a little more opportunity to integrate the shoulder girdle. Okay, and then from here, without getting this huge lean forward, try to just lift your heels up, 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 up with the heels, up through the inner thighs, up through the pelvic floor. And slowly return the heels down to the ground. And lift your toes. So toe mounds stay down, but really flexing the toes up toward the ankles. Spread the toes a little bit more and root them down. Try to keep space between each toe. And then from here, walk your hands back so they're underneath your shoulders. And then keep your feet wide if you can. Hands to your hips, rising up. Great. Bring your hands to heart center in front of you. Shift over to one side. So side lunge. It's like there's a chair element here. So the torso is coming forward, the hips are going back, but the chest is staying lifted. Rising up through center. Could even have a hand on chest, hand on sacrum, so you can feel and kind of monitor what's happening a little bit more palpably, side to side. Notice if the knee is really caving in. See if you can track it wider. You might need to have toes turned out here, but let's not do the toe lift, heel rotate just for today. So it's not Skandasana. That's it. Just go as low as works for your knees, your body, your hips today. Try not to forget about the leg you're moving away from. You can extend actively, energetically reach through the leg. That's it. Chin is slightly down, so sacrum and back of the skull still in the same plane. About one more time each side. Great, and then after your second side, coming up through center, keep the feet wide for Trikonasana, triangle pose. Let's go on the right side first. I'm mirroring, so right toes turn out. You can have your block in place inside or outside the right ankle. Let the hips drift back as you lengthen the bottom of the torso. That's it. Roll through the ribs. Maybe hand stays on the hip. Maybe arm stretches up. So I'm not kind of collapsing energy down into the bottom, into the right hand or into the block. There's rooting here. There's like this grounding action. But I'm kind of lifting up out of the arm, maybe all the way through to the top fingertips. Sometimes the shoulder wants to roll forward. So notice if that's happening for you, and really depress the shoulder blade. So shoulder blade moving down toward the waist. Okay, from here, we're going to come into half moon pose. You could bring your hand to your hip. You might flip your block to the highest setting. Bring it forward out in front of you and off to the right. Shift into your right leg. So the block's beneath the right shoulder, extending back through the left leg. If you can play with balance a little bit, we're going to bend the standing leg. Make sure your big toe stays down. And then when you straighten the leg, roll the rib basket up toward the ceiling. Knee could stay bent. That might be more balancing. Maybe extending through the top arm. Particularly if you're feeling sensation through the lower back, try bringing the sacrum more out in front of you. It's almost like you're tucking tailbone a little bit. Energy through all the limbs. And we can kind of dial the right foot outward. It's not actually going to move. But if you're able, I know it's hard to play with anything when you're struggling with balance, but you might help balance. There's like outward rotation of the grounded foot into the floor. From here, look down. You can bring your hand back to the hip. If it left, reach the left foot way, way, way back. See how lightly you can land it. Take your block with you. Let's pivot the feet. The second side of triangle, Trikonasana. Let your hips drift back. Take your time with your setup. Hips drift back. This down, this underside of the torso staying long here, which might mean higher setting on the block. Turning through the ribs, maybe extending up through the arm. Be sure you're not collapsing down into this left arm, into the block. And push down a little bit to reach up. And this left shoulder often rolls forward and up toward the ear. So draw the shoulder down toward your waist. Half moon, Ardha Chandrasana. You can bring your hand back to your hip. Flip your block to the highest setting. Bring it forward and off to your left. Either walk or hop or slide your back foot in until you can put all of your weight on your front leg. Keep the big toe down. That's it. If you can play with balance a little bit here, bending the standing leg. That might be more balancing in and of itself, and you could stay there. Or we slowly straighten the leg. Roll the rib cage up toward the ceiling, energetically extending through all of your limbs. and from root to crown. Look down, reach the right foot back, land it lightly with control if you can. Rising up, we're pivoting back to the first side for warrior two. So right toes point forward, left toes point straight ahead. Bend the knee, extend through your arms. Really activate this back leg. Sometimes the front leg, it's all the attention here because it's working. See if you can actively reach through the back leg and squeeze your left glute. Parshva Konasana, side angle. Maybe resting forearm on the thigh with palm up. Maybe bringing hand to a block inside or outside the front foot. Roll through the ribs. Arm can stretch up. Arm can come alongside the ear. You can keep engaging this left buttock muscle. Rising up, take your block with you. Pivot your feet for the second side, starting with warrior two. Bending your front knee. Engaging your back glute. Stretching through your arms from the center of your chest. Parshva Konasana, side angle asana. Forearm to thigh with palm up. It's just a light resting, or maybe hand on block. Rolling through the ribs, whether the hand stays on the hip, reaches up, or comes alongside the ear. Keep coming back to awareness of your back leg, back buttock. Okay, rising up. Heel toe your feet in, or hop them in underneath your frame. Tadasana, mountain pose. Watching and listening inwardly. Okay, we have one more standing balance pose. Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana. Extended hand to big toe. Let's use a belt. If you're working with a belt. And we'll come to this from tree pose. So this is the one where we extend the leg out to the side. Okay. And so let's just start by really connecting with the left foot into the ground, spreading the toes, four corners of the foot, rooting, rising. And then if you can easily bring your foot up to get the belt around, cool. Otherwise, it might be better to bring the belt down to the foot and then come up. So you experiment with what's more balancing for you. And then I like to have the palm facing out, so I'm externally rotating the shoulder. So here I am in tree pose, getting into tree pose with the help of the belt. So it's passive range of motion, because most likely your arm brought your leg up, but that's okay. You could stay right here, okay? We're gonna work on the same alignment no matter where we are in the balance. So the knee can draw back. We're kind of opening away from the midline. So the belly's a little bit spinning opposite the right knee. Okay, staying here or extending the leg out to the side. And the belt is so that you can draw the head of the arm bone into the shoulder socket and stay upright. You can push through the heel, you can push through the toe mounds. The leg is extended, is externally rotating. We already did this, right? We did this on our side. Okay, and then calmly releasing. See if you can bring the foot down with control. You can certainly be using a wall to help find the shape and steady yourself. We begin with the right foot. I feel like oftentimes when we don't balance, it's because we didn't take the time to develop foundation. The toes are spread, rooting through the four corners of the foot. There's a rooting action and a rising action. You can bring the foot up or bring the belt down to get the foot. You can manage palm facing out. That's going to be a little nicer for the shoulder. Thinking about opening away from the midline or opposition. So the knee is drawing back to the left. And there's the sense of the torso, the right side of the torso, moving more to the right. You can stay right here or extend the leg out to the side. Adjust your position, adjust the use of the belt so the head of the arm bone is plugged into the shoulder socket. You're standing up tall. The knee doesn't need to be straight. Externally rotating the leg, the inner thighs rotating out, causes the toes to point up or even a little bit more back behind you. Calmly, with control. Coming back to mountain, you can set your belt down. Great, and then we're going to come to sit. Sit in an Upavishta Konasana shape. That means the legs are out wide. If you're kind of rolling back here, I really suggest strongly that you sit up on a blanket so that the pelvis is neutral. So we want the ASIS, those protruding hip points, and the pubic bone, all like if we were to consider that like a triangle table, it would be vertical. So if the hip points are dropping back relative to your pubic bone, then we shift forward. If the body can't do this on its own, use the belt, use a blanket to help with that. Okay, knees could be bent here. My feet are flexed, my toes are pointing up. Turning your torso to face your right leg. Let's actually reach up through the left arm. And then see if you can bring this left side of your rib basket forward as you stretch out over the leg. Maybe we keep the arm alongside the ear and reach through your left leg, reach through your left heel. That's it. Keep the chest kind of lifted here, so a little different maybe than we're used to doing. So it's like we're aiming our heart for our foot rather than for our thigh. Press the legs down, reach through the arm to rise up, coming back to center. Arm can come down. Brush your spine with breath. Check in with your legs. You might have a little renegade, little rebel that's opening up or caving in. So toes point up, turning to face your left leg. Stretch up through the right arm from the right hip. And then see if you can bring your right side of the rib basket a little more toward the leg as you lengthen forward. Aim your heart toward your foot and actively stretch, reach through the right arm. That's it. Press the legs down as you reach and rise up, coming back to center, releasing the arm down. Yeah, and then let's bring feet together in Baddha Konasana shape. Take hold of your big toes or take hold of the outer edges of your feet. Some of you might end up wanting to use your belt. We're going to try to come to a balance here. So I would have the middle of the belt underneath the feet. We're going to tip back to hover the feet. You can stay right here, chest is lifted, or we're opening the legs out wide and straighter or straightish. See if you can rewind to Baddha Konasana. You can set your belt aside. Great. And then from here, I'd like to use block and blanket for a supported bridge. So you just have the block handy for now. And we'll make a kind of bolster shape with your blanket. So it could be like it normally is for shoulder stand, or it could be a little narrower. So this rectangle. Okay. And if you practice shoulder stand, it'll be the same setup in terms of where you are on the blanket. If you don't practice shoulder stand, no problem. We're not doing it anyway. So the tops of the shoulders align with the top edge of the blanket. So my head and my neck are not on the blanket. Okay, and then once you get down, you can have your knees bent, your feet planted, lift your hips, and place your block underneath your sacrum. You have several settings available to you, low, medium, high. Some people like it wide, some people like it narrow. It's worth experimenting. Let's see if we can get, if you're higher up, then this isn't gonna happen, but if you're lower on the block, we can kind of adjust the ribs so that they're kind of more in and down. So you can bring your hands to the bottom sides of your rib basket. So the fingers are all on the front and the thumbs wrap around to the back. And then we're gonna scoop. So the back of the rib cage goes more up toward the head and the front of the rib cage goes more down toward the pelvis. So the ribs are moving kind of in toward each other. And the front of the rib cage down toward the pelvis. So there's a little bit less of a rib flare. That might be nice if you have lower back compression or pain. Okay, you could stay right here. I'm just going to be here for a couple minutes. Some of you, I know, like to straighten your legs with your heels on the ground. Keep the toes pointing up here so we're still wakeful. You could leave the arms where they are, or take hold of the elbows up around the head, or arms just kind of draping heavy. For me, my ribs tend to flare all the time, and it creates pain for me in my back. So I try not to let my ribs flare in a shape like this. So I'm getting more of hip flexor opening. Particularly today our class focus was the hips, so you might experiment with that a little bit. Try to breathe into the back of the rib basket. Lower back of the lungs. If you're in this more active shape, really reach through the elbows, really reach through the heels. You straightened your legs, slide your feet back to ground. You're down to your feet to lift your hips up and remove the block. With care, lowering the hips down. And then from here, you can roll to your side and remove your blanket. You could put it underneath your upper thighs or your knees in Shavasana, kind of ready to go in its shape. You can separate your feet wider than your hips. That's usually a little more relaxing for the hips. If you have lower back discomfort, the support under your legs will help. Also, you could plant your feet and reach your tailbone down to lengthen through the lower back and then re-extend the legs. I'm coming to rest in stillness. Coming to rest in awareness. Invite your awareness to return to the breath stream. Begin to reawaken your body with some movement. When you feel ready, gently bringing yourself up to a seat. Feel free to stay in Shavasana if you're not ready. Let's bring hands, palms together at heart center. Bowing head to heart and hands with gratitude for all of the blessings and abundance in our lives. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Thank you.